Hey guys, Sean C. Phillips here. Welcome to a new Q&A video. No, I didn't cut my hair. It's just stuffed in the hat. These are the latest questions, from the last batch when I started the Ask Me questions in April. So I'm just going to get on with it, and I'm not sure how long it will go. The last one went like 40 minutes, 45 minutes or something, so it may go long. Since these are in like smaller quality, I can shoot a long time, and there's like a really small file, so it's not hard to upload. And the picture doesn't really matter. You're really just listening to the answers in these. And I wouldn't do these in HD. Um, it would take forever too if I made them that long. Hey Sean, are you a fan of the horror movie Critters? And if so, you ever like to see a film remade? No, I really like the Critters movies. Like the first one is my favorite one. I thought it was the best story. I like the main character who, they brought into all the sequels, or I think two of the sequels, and he might have been a cameo in one. I can't remember for sure. He might have been in all of them, but the one guy who was like on the farm, like the farm guy worked on the farm. But I liked that guy, and I don't know, those movies are really fun films. I know though too they're gonna remake, or they're talking now about remaking Gremlins, which I feel like those movies are so perfect. But I guess if they were gonna remake it, I almost think it might be better to make it like a cross between the first two instead of trying to bother with making it or go a different direction with it, because the stories are just so perfect already with the casting and everybody. And if they do it, I really, one thing about these remakes is I would really wish they would start to just more often get the original actors to do a cameo. I think, it would sell more tickets to these movies. I think, the fans of the originals would be more inclined to see them. Like, I think they could get Dick Miller to do a cameo in the new one. Maybe he's like the guy who works from the bar in the new one, or Zach Galligan should be in it. Maybe he's the father now. I feel like they need to, change it up a little bit and do things like that. I think that is the direction to go with some of these remakes. Just like, with the Hills Have Eyes remake. Like, in all seriousness, I always wonder, why in the world did they not just put Michael Berryman in it? I don't know. I really think he should have done it. That's what I've always thought with these remakes is get some people from the original to do cameos, and they really don't do that. And I know they want it to be like its own thing or anything, but it doesn't matter. Just put the original people in. It's more fun. I just feel like that would kind of make it a little bit more, ease the pain of it being remade. You know what I mean? Because I'm kind of like, well, they got them, I don't know. I just always thought that was would be more fun, you know what I mean, to do that more often. And I think more people would be interested in seeing it, just to see him again in it, and to see what they have him do. Because like the Dawn of the Dead remake got Ken Frey and got a couple people to do cameos, and I liked that they did that. I thought it worked in the ways they did it. For a Critters remake, I think the Critters could, since it's not not a movie that's as loved and known as the Gremlins films, I think it could probably work. Wondering what kind of TV do you have, and watch everything on brand size, keep up the great videos. Well, I have always had, Sonys, but then I wanted to get a 3D TV, and I really liked the fact with the LGs that you could just use the same theater glasses, and it was those you didn't need batteries and things like that. So I got the LG, and I think it's like a 50-something inch, and even, for the room that I'm in, if it was too much bigger, it would really be too close. Like, so I'm very close to the TV. Like, when I first got it, like I really had to adjust to it. But I like that TV though. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know. It was a brand that I wasn't so sure about at first, but I've had no problem with the 3D. And I know some people say that it's not as sharp with some of the details. I haven't noticed a problem. Especially if you're watching like Blu-rays in 3D. If you watch some of those kind of like 3D cable, and or if you stream 3D, it can be a little laggy and a little weird though. Like if you try and stream from that Voodoo or whatever that thing. I never remember how to say that. But if you stream from those kind of things, it can look a little bit, I don't know, just something about it is not as good. Because I remember I watched Piranha 3D like that, and it looked really peculiar. Have you seen any of the Cheech and Chong films, Up in Smoke, or any of the early films? I have seen some of them, and I know I've seen the ones that Paul Reubens was in. I haven't watched them though in a long time. I never got into them as much as some people did. I don't know if it was because, I don't know why. It was just they were never ones that I had watched as much as some other things. I liked both the actors and other things though, but I guess I just never caught on with those for some reason. Are you going to see Star Trek in the darkness in IMAX? I don't know. I'm not sick. It's just I get a little bit like trooped up. Um, but the Star Trek in the IMAX. The thing with me and the IMAX is there's not a theater that's IMAX that's that close. For some reason, there aren't too many like right around here. And the thing is, a lot of them are just kind of like a bigger screen. It's not. It doesn't really seem like a real IMAX experience. Gotta drink the damn water. Yeah, I was like, for some reason, sometimes you're like, if you eat certain types of food, it's like a choke you up, coughing kind of experience from it. Especially, I hate when that happens during the DVD update. Sometimes you just kind of get like, because it's kind of like I can't have the air on here, I can only have the fan, and it's kind of like choke upness. And these kind of things, I do them all in one take. I don't cut them like the updates. That's why you see the updates cut, because a lot of times, I never discussed that, but like sometimes I forget a detail, or I say something incorrect, so I have to like go and redo it again. Um, but what are the 10 worst movies you've seen? That's too difficult to say. I can never like make a list out of my head, like offhand like that. What is the worst and best horror movies you've seen? What is the worst comedies? I don't like some of the, like when I think of like the worst comedies like I can think of. I mean horror movies offhand, and I can think of is like probably like Prom Night is really terrible, and like the Prom Night remake, of course, the original is great. Um, just some of those kind of things, some of those remakes. Like the Stepfather remake was pretty bad. I wanted to like it, really was bad though. Like some of that kind of stuff, like that really. And there's some like, like real indie ones that really are like, ugh. Remember like one I watched recently, Back to Hell. I really wanted to like it because Corey Feldman was in it, but it's just kind of like I don't know. I didn't. It was I hate to not like something. I really as you know, I always try and find like the positive things about movies, but there's some movies where it's, like you just can't find them as hard as you try. Um, the worst comedies. I don't know. It's more like when it comes to like worst, it's like some movies where I'm really hoping it's going to be really funny, and then end up getting very let down that it wasn't good. Or sometimes too, I almost feel like when it comes to comedy movies, it's almost like best if you don't see the trailers. Sometimes these trailers nowadays they give away everything. A lot of the really good jokes, and they show. I love when movies, don't show very much, or all the jokes are different in the movie, like they're raunchier or something like that, and then it's like a new experience. Because some movies, it's like the only jokes, and it's not every time, but there's sometimes they're all in the trailer, and then you see it, and then people in the theater, you can kind of tell are like, hee hee, like they're laughing at it again, but you can kind of tell they're like, I laughed at this in the trailer a lot, that kind of thing. What's your thoughts on Lauren Faust's My Little Pony? Did you ever watch it? Did you like it? I guess they mean like the new My Little Pony. No, I'm not a brony. Like as a kid, I guess I might have come across it like every so often, the original one. But I more watched like I think I watched Pound Puppies more as a kid, and like which was on the same time, and like the Flintstone Kids, um, and the Potato Head Kids. There's a whole lot of those kind of things around the same time. That's like I can hardly remember, but as a kid, the late '80s, I remember those kind of things. And I think they played them. I think My Little Pony might have been on the Disney Channel rerun. They might have re-aired it on there. I'm not sure though. I can't remember like channel names or anything like that. Like what I specifically watched them on. I can remember like things like Pee Wee though on like I think that was CBS, and I remember distinctly a lot of the commercials and stuff. Like seeing the commercials for the Ghostbusters toys and things like that. That's the thing. I have some old Pee Wee tapes. I believe I still have a couple of them. And the cool thing with those is to see the old commercials. Like that's why like if you're in those swap meets and you see like a tape from the '80s, it's like a show that's taped off TV. You don't really care about the show. It's more about seeing what the commercials are. Right? What was your favorite cartoon growing up as a kid? Like I watched a lot of stuff like as a kid. Like other ones I watched is the Popples. David the Gnome, which I can't believe that is not on DVD yet. And that's one of those shows, too, that like ends so depressing. Oh, my God. Like, I don't think there's ever really a show for kids this day and age that would end the way that show ends. Like, back then they just really didn't care, I don't think. And kids back then, like, accepted and took more depressing things. Like now, I don't think they would ever even attempt to do something like that with what they did. I mean, never. And it makes you cry, and it's so depressing. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how kids reacted if they did that to like something real current that kids are watching now. But like other ones that I watched, I don't know offhand like what other ones. I watched a lot of like, of course, like Pee Wee. Yes, there's a question for that coming up. Um, And there's some like things I remember distinctly as a kid watching, which I wish somebody would rescue and find the tapes of, like Drexel's Class, which I can't even believe there's not even any clips of it up online. It was like one of those shows that people like didn't think back then to tape. And I even was in the house of one of the main actors in that like a couple of years ago, and I tried to find the tapes in his house because I was like, I'm going to copy them. I'm going to take them back to they're Maryland when I lived in Maryland and put them on a DVD. And I thought I finally tracked down Drexel's Class, but even he didn't have the tapes there. So I was like, oh, no, I'm never going to see that again. And sometimes there's certain things you just feel like you're never going to see it again. It's like disappeared into the oblivion, and it's to never be found or seen again. And I even remember like Problem Child, Junior Healy plays, I believe, the Problem Child in a cameo. And then, Jason Biggs was on the show, I believe, and Brittany Murphy was on the show. So I'm really surprised that like Shout Factory or something hasn't put out like at least a thing with like 3 episodes or something, or like one of those like Burn Demand, like Warner Archive or one of them. I'm surprised like they haven't just put it on there, just dumped it on there for like just for the hell of it. But maybe it has like rights issues with who owns it, or maybe it's one of those kind of things that everyone just forgot about. Um, I've been a fan of yours for a while. I found out and about in 2009. Also enjoys Kim's posts on Facebook, and she seems to enjoy Disney pictures. My question is, do you know of any good movies based on diners? Well, there's, the movie Diner, which I don't think I ever watched. There's Blood Diner, which is a fun, like, campy B horror film. I don't know, there's been a couple other movies in diners. I think that Grindhouse, Planet Terror had a diner scene in it. Had a decent amount of the movie was in a diner, I think. There's a couple other, I can't think offhand. I can't think offhand like what other diner movies there are. Do you have a favorite Pee Wee's Playhouse episode or moment? I think a favorite, like some of my favorite moments was the one I really liked was when the guy who was the alien came. I really like this stuff with Pee Wee on the phone, especially like the Christmas stuff when they're singing the song and he like puts the dummy in there. But my all-time favorite one that I always think of, and just like the visual of it, I thought was really creative, and I always loved that moment, was when the alien, the big eyeball monster comes when Pee Wee's making the salad and has the salad bar. And I remember as a kid, yes, I'm a fat guy, but I remember that I became obsessed with salad bars as a kid. And I remember once I was at like in like preschool or something, I took a trip to a market and they had a salad bar there. And we weren't allowed to eat anything there. I think we were allowed to like taste this like squeezed orange juice. Like they had one of those machines that squeezed it there. But there's a salad bar there, and I became obsessed, as I do with DVDs and everything now. Always been obsessive. Always been not nuts, I guess. But I was obsessed with wanting to get the salad bar back then. I remember, like, it was a huge to-do. The next question is, when you meet fans in person, would you rather be called Cool Dude or Sean or something else? Doesn't really matter to me. Most people just say... Most people like say Cool Dude, or most people have just said Sean. But to me, it doesn't really matter, and I kind of just sort of say now that the C, because I always say Sean C. Phillips. And the reason I always say that is, too, so people, like, if they're looking me up and stuff like that, they come across the IMBD, and IMDb, dyslexic, come across that, and, and like can kind of like branding yourself, you know what I mean? Just so you let people know who you are and things like that. So I try and always say that a lot in my videos, but I kind of tell people like the C means Cool Dude. And some people have like even put that on movies like Sean Cool Dude or Phillips. I'm like, I didn't actually come up with to say that, but I kind of just say that now. Another question is, would you ever consider doing an around the country type video with just you and Dweebo? I doubt Dweebo would want to like go across the country like that again. Like, and I don't know like what our reasons would be, truthfully, because the problem is, it was a one-way drive. You know what I mean? Like when we did the around the country, it was going, from Maryland to California, and that was it. If we did that again, we'd be driving and then driving back, and that really wouldn't be very exciting. I'm talking though down the line, during the fall, with Brendan, like going to Arizona and going like around and doing like some DVD shopping, like as he says, hoarding up, but like do like a video kind of thing about doing that. And we're definitely gonna go back to Vegas again. Like I usually like to go to Vegas around the winter time. Like I kind of like driving like the places like that where it's not too far. It's kind of like a certain amount, like no more than like 5 or 6 hours at the most, because that cross country drive was a nightmare. And it kind of like would have been okay, but like I don't know, we kept on running into these problems with everything. Um, and next question is, but if Dweebo wanted to do like come along or something when we went to Arizona or something, he totally could. It's totally up to him though if he wanted to be in the car all that time and stuff. How many films have you been in, and who would you like to be in a film with in the future? I don't know like how many films for sure, especially like because I wouldn't count like all of them. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I would count like some that I really think are like the top ones everyone should check out. And there's some of them that are kind of like the really, really early, in between ones that I did, which are kind of like, it's just stuff to kind of to get experience and just to do things and stuff like that, like the real, real early stuff. And I don't know, like, so I don't know, I guess like 20 plus something like that. I know there's more, but I would count like a certain number, like if I was really saying like the ones to go out and watch. Um, and who I like to work with. Like I would like to kind of work with like people in the horror, like the indie horror world that I really, really like. People like Eli Roth and Adam Green and people like that. And the good thing is like a lot of them have seen my stuff. But like some of those kind of people are the kind of people I would really like to work with, like people who I really like, whose movies I really enjoy and things like that. Um, why do you seem to hang out with people beyond your age? I don't know. I've always had like older friends and stuff like that. Like I don't mind hanging out with older people. Like to me, it's like it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Like you can hang out with people at like any age. Um, like I don't hang out with kids or something. But, like a older kid. It doesn't matter to me. Like I always kind of had older friends in school and stuff like that. Hey Sean, how was it meeting Danny Trejo? What was he like? He was really, really like great experience working with him. And we didn't have a whole ton of scenes because like my character kind of went all over the place. But I was there every single day that he was, so we kind of would do my scene then one of his scenes. So it was kind of like I was there with him most of the time, just sort of when we were hanging out and stuff. So I talked to him a whole lot. So really cool experience working with him. And people have mentioned me to him at conventions, and he remembers and everything. So that's always a cool experience when people remember you and things like that. Have you ever seen any Ken Russell films like The Devils? If not, they're excellent. I've seen Serpent Lair of the White Worm, and Altered State. Um, and the next question is, how come you moved out to California and Maryland in the first place, and how did your first start in movie making? What was your big break? Thanks for answering my questions. Big time follower. Mainly moved just to get out to a new everything. You know what I mean? Kind of like there's people in Maryland that I, consider very good friends that, I really, and people, they know who they are, not down Mensch for one. But there are people though that I consider very good friends there. But I kind of just wanted a whole new life, and my whole family did. My parents and my brother just wanted something different. We lived there our whole life, and we're just kind of ready to do something else. And being out here, there is so many people out here doing movies, and so much stuff going on all the time. And I have a lot of people I know out here doing stuff, and a lot of potential projects all the time. So that's what I really like, is I'm really trying to do a lot of stuff out here. and it's cool that there's always stuff going on, and stuff that gets released and stuff. Because the worst is when you do something that takes forever or doesn't seem to come out. Um, I guess like the first, I don't know if I really ever had like I would say like I don't know like big break. I kind of think it's like I'm just doing what I like, you know what I mean? But I guess like the first time I ever did anything, was for two movies for the Chiller Channel, which was Banshee and Assault of the Sasquatch. So I kind of the first movies I ever did, I started out, doing something kind of bigger in the beginning, and then I kind of went and did like really really small stuff, and then I did some bigger stuff, and then I did the movies for Sci-Fi, which have been some of the biggest things yet. And there's other ones where I had really small parts. In some bigger movies as well. But the sci-fi ones though, like Haunted High, and I would say those are to me the bigger ones because they've been worldwide as well. They play on Sci-Fi here, they play on Sci-Fi in South Africa, they play in South Sci-Fi in China. They've been everywhere. Like to see people tweeting about the movie everywhere around the world has really been like kind of an amazing experience just to know it's something that you did like that has been everywhere. All these people have seen it. There's something about that to me is just a very fulfilling experience to have done something like that. And the other one that's going to be on in July, Ghost Shark, is going to be a really cool one. I heard the music, the score to it recently. It's really cool music. I think that one's going to be a really fun one. People that like killer shark films. This is going to be a really pretty cool one. Do you ever see yourself in big budget horror movies? Here's the thing about horror movies nowadays, and Rob Zombie was even saying the same thing. There really aren't big budget horror movies anymore. It's kind of the new thing because of Paranormal Activity and things like Insidious, which was made for like, I think they originally said it was made for like 800,000. Then they said it was like 1.5 million. So I'm sure it's somewhere in between. But a lot of movies nowadays, like especially horror movies, are made for $1 million, $2 million, $3 million or less. So I've done that kind of budget. So it's kind of like now, it's very different the way those kind of movies, especially horror movies, are made. Comedy movies and drama movies and things like that are a little different. You know what I mean? Like, I think more of the question that I would say was if I ever see myself in like a more of a Hollywood like 5 million plus movie, and I definitely would love to do something like that at some point, but I'm perfectly happy doing like people like Tiffany Shepis, Bill Moseley. Bill Moseley comes every so often to a bigger Hollywood thing, but a lot of the indie horror movies and things like that, and I'm perfectly happy and have a lot of fun doing those kind of movies. So I have no problem in that field. To me, if I can have people know me in that area and at conventions and things like that, to me I feel like that is a success with that. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm trying to do, and I've had pretty decent success with like conventions and people knowing me there, and other actors there knowing me. So I'm really working. I'm really trying to like get known with that, and like I'm trying to be really picky with the ones that I choose and the ones that I know people are going to see and things like that. Everything Must Go is a cracking film, you think? Crackling? I don't know. I saw Everything Must Go. I like that movie though, the Will Ferrell movie. What movie do you find truly scary? Yeah, there hasn't been too much lately that I really really thought was creepy. Like I love though every so often there's like a jump scare that throws me off. That new Selma Blair horror movie, like In Their Skin, had one really successful jump scare. They kind of like I found really unexpected. Like What Lies Beneath had a really good jump scare. Of course that was kind of a weird reference, but there's been a lot of movies with jump scares, but like ones that I really come across as unexpected, and those ones had some of those. I also think Session 9 is a very creepy movie. Really hope that one comes out to Blu-ray at some point, because the DVD is, one of those old widescreens where it's not even formatted for the TV. Next question is your favorite Ninja Turtle. I cannot remember the names to them as much as I used to. As a kid, though, I had every one of the toys. I wish I kept some of these ones, especially watching that show Toy Hunter and knowing what some of those things are worth. I'm like, I had all of those. I probably had like 80% of those turtles because I used to always go out and buy like all of them. I used to go to Lionel Kitty City was like one of my favorite toy stores. I like that even more than Toys R Us, and I don't know if anybody remembers that. I mean, it closed in like 2000, no, 1991 maybe, and I remember like after it closed, I discovered like one more location, but then that one closed afterwards, and that was the one too where I saw the really rare Ghostbusters. They were these kind of like a little bit later Ghostbusters toys, like around like the same time, 91, 92. And it was like a series that you never really saw much. And I remember there was a whole rack of them, and I looked at them, and before I could grab them, I came back, and the whole section was cleaned out, and a woman threw every one of them in her cart. And I kind of missed the days of when toys were like a huge thing. Like nowadays, like it's not like that anymore. Like the last toy thing like that, I feel like was like Tickle Me Elmo, the doll, and the other one before that, which was a huge thing, was the Tamagotchis. And then before that was I think it was Power Rangers. Yeah, Power Rangers, Tamagotchis, and then that. And I kind of miss that kind of like, oh, like the craziness of trying to find them. But that doesn't really exist anymore, though, because of things like eBay. But that was just an interesting experience, especially like for the kind of videos I do now. Those would be great videos, like, you know, going through all that and filming people going nuts. And I remember like calling all the time, like, "Oh, did you get the new Tamagotchis in?" And I remember that stuff so like distinctly. Your favorite video games? A lot of the old stuff, like Sonic, you know, Super Mario Brothers, Zelda for Super Nintendo. Although I used to always get stuck on that game and get so angry. Like I know a lot of kids like would get angry and then throw the controller down and break it. I used to have that happen a lot. That's why I really don't play many video games. For some reason, I have like a kind of personality where I get so pissed off at them, and I also have like an obsessive personality. So like if I'm, that shows why I've got so many movie DVDs. But like if I, you know, play a game like that, I have to like beat it and I have to get forward in it. So like I used to, even as a kid, when I was like shouldn't have been doing it, like when I was in middle school and stuff, I found myself like up super late, you know, playing and getting mad about it. And the second I got home from school, I would get back on there and do. So like that's why I kind of now really just steer clear of video games. It's almost like someone like, you know, who has like a drug problem and can't get near them. So that's kind of like me in video games. It's like I don't get near them. I can only ever do stuff like music generator. You know what I mean? Like I used to like that. Everybody remembers that MTV thing where you could make music, like beats and stuff. I used to always screw around on that, and I used to always like to play the Sims theme park one where you kind of would have people ride the rides, and I used to purposely make people get sick on them and stuff. Like those, I really remember. Like those were the ones I could play when I didn't want to play the ones I would become obsessed with. Do you like The Thing, the old one from 1981, and the 2001 version? Just wondering because I didn't see them in your collection. No, I have the original thing. The remake, though, when I first saw it, I didn't feel like I liked it that much. I think the problem was some of that CGI, especially when I know they made the thing, like, you know, practically, and then they put in all that weird CG. That kind of bothered me a little bit, but I really love the original one. What was the first movie you ever owned? I don't know. I think like probably like, you know, Pee Wee's Big Adventure and some of like that was one of the earliest tapes I remember having. And surprisingly, I saw National Lampoon's Vacation way too young. I don't think my parents knew that it was rated R because it's one of those movies that doesn't really seem like it's rated R because I mean there's only like one scene of like really dirty words in like one section and then like that quick nudity in it, but those are some like the really early tapes, and I had a lot of Chevy Chase and John Candy movies as a kid. So probably like Uncle Buck was an early one, and seems like Old Times. I had, like I said, I had like all those Chevy Chase movies and stuff like that as a kid. Like those were. It's kind of funny how I watch the same stuff now, like when it comes to those kind of stuff. What are your top 5 favorite old cartoon shows that you miss? I think I talked about those a bit. You excited about the new Daft Punk album? I've liked the music of theirs that I listened to. I need to listen. I haven't heard the new one. What do you think is the best current horror director? Um, I think Ty West is really doing a good job. I really have liked what he did. I mean, I even liked. A lot of people gave it crap, but I know the studio cut it all up and changed it. I like Cabin Fever too. I liked Giuseppe Andrews' part in it, and I really liked the guy from American Movies part. I thought that kind of like crazy, over the top stuff really fit in the movie. And Judah Freelander had like a seriously amazing laugh in the movie, like a comedic scene in it that I think was one of the top. And House the Devil, Innkeepers, and I like Eli Roth stuff. I don't think he's the absolute best, but I think his best is going to be the Green Inferno. If it turns out to be amazing, I think that's going to be a really good movie, because there's not been a cannibal movie in years. There was that found footage one that Dimension Extreme put out. I think it was like, I don't know what that, Welcome to the Jungle, I think. And that one was okay. It wasn't like perfect, but I actually know that they went into the Amazon and, into like with real, tribes and things like that. So it's going to add an authenticity to it. It's one of those movies too where you really wonder how far they went with some of the stuff. If they kind of are going like to the extreme level of like, with Cannibal Holocaust, or they're going to kind of, just interesting to see, how they do it. The other people, and the classic ones though, like Wes Craven stuff, but they haven't done anything that's been amazing in so long though. So I wouldn't mention anyone classic, because a lot of them, their best work has like been years back. But then there's still like classic directors though who have done some really good stuff. But then it's kind of few and far between though. It's just because horror movies are so different now, and a lot of my favorite ones, like I'm mentioning, are doing indie horror. I feel like indie horror, is really where some of the best stuff is right now. Like when it comes to that new one coming out. I can't remember what it's called. Like Come Out. Now You See Me, I think, which is the director of Tiffany Shepard's one that I really liked with Bill Moseley. I can't remember offhand. Homesick was one that I really liked. His new one, which is, I'm really happy to see it's getting a theatrical release. But like Adam Girish, I think you say his name, like his stuff. Stephen C. Miller, did the remake of Silent Hill. I mean, not Silent Hill, Silent Night, Deadly Night. Those are some of the people who I really have liked. Hey, brother, do you like Event Horizon? Just wondering if you check it out. Yeah, I thought that was a really creepy movie. Like, especially the stuff with him in the tunnels. That was a really good one. I gotta know, when's your birthday? September 23rd. What do you think of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Nick, my opinion is great. I have not seen that new one. I think I've seen, I don't know if the DVD of that had come out, but I know I'd seen some pictures or something, but I have not seen it. What is your favorite comedy? I don't know. Like, a lot of like older 80s movies and things like that have been some of my favorites. Like the ones that I like love to watch all the time. Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Clifford, which I know, the Martin Short movie, I know is a really weird movie. But to me, that is such a funny. I really like those quirky, strange, not perfect movies. Like some of those ones that are so weird, you don't even understand how they could exist. Some of those ones are my favorite just because I love that peculiarness of things, and always have loved those weird characters and things like that. Sometimes they make a movie like that kind of totally misses the mark. But like things like Clifford, it's a lot of people don't like. I understand though, that's not a perfect movie. But like, again though, it's that I love those weird characters. What do you think of director Paul Greengrass, Born Identity in 1993? For some reason, I had never watched those Born Identity movies. Like, for some reason, I never felt that like interested in watching them. I don't know why. I'm sure they're good movies, but like I just never got that interested in that one. 1993 was a well done movie, but it's one of those movies that's so depressing, and you know what I mean. Like, and you wish things could have changed. You know what I mean? It's like it's just not one of those movies that you would ever want to watch again. Like there's certain movies that are like a one-time watch. I think Entertainment Weekly or some website I saw did like the top 10 movies the best top movies that you never want to watch again. Like Requiem for a Dream is another one where it's like the ending is so depressing and so sad. It's such a good movie, but it's I've only ever watched it once. I can't sit through it again because it's too sad. It's almost like experiencing death. You know what I mean? Like, and like another one that I have sat through more than once, but it gets to me so much is the Bicentennial Man. Like that movie, it's like death all the time. All these people dying off in it, and it's just such a sad movie. And AI too. Oh my God! Like those movies, I literally cry like someone has died with those movies. I've always had like been emotional with movies, and like I mean they're effective. You know what I mean? Like if they can actually do that to you and bring forth that kind of emotion, but it's kind of like you need to regroup a little bit after some of those movies. Like there aren't that many. Oh yeah, and the other one, that Dakota Fanning one, Now Is Good, was the last one that was like that. Oh my God! Like she did a great job in the movie. The movie was so good, but it was just too depressing. What was it like going to high school? Any tips for an up and coming freshman? Also, eventually, do you do a draw my life video? Yeah, I kind of feel like I might do a video like that, draw my life, but I might actually not draw it, and I might just do it with pictures. Like I might either film them or scan. Like, and this is the video I'll do in the next in the next year or something. Whenever I can really feel like I've got a lot of free time and not a lot of stuff to watch and stuff for reviews and stuff. But I kind of would like to do one where I kind of put some pictures and kind of talk about the experiences and stuff that I can remember for them. Because I have a lot of weird stories, about birthday parties and stuff like that to fit to these pictures. So there's something that I kind of would like to do at some point. I have a lot of, old 80s ones and stuff like that. That's something I'll probably do at some point. But for high school, to me, high school really wasn't a horrible experience. The worst experience was middle school. Like, I really did not like it at all. Like, I don't know, it was just, people were a problem. I hated gym. I was sort of like an Angus in middle school. It was kind of like that, kind of weird. And I feel like I was a bit of a butthole, a little bit. I think I just sort of had like a butt attitude because I wasn't really happy. And I went through these kind of weird stages. Like, see me, I'm one of those kind of people who has never really followed a trend. Some people kind of like follow, like they do this and they get like this is kind of cool right now. And like me, it's always kind of been just like, well, at least in the last like 10 years, it's been like what I like. And, especially in the last, since I kind of moved and I got away from some people, I kind of feel like I've kind of started to stop the kind of crazy, like, I hate this, I hate Kurt music. I kind of feel like I got away from all that. And I'm more accepting to things than I used to be. Because kind of when you have like a friend that's kind of like really against that stuff and like kind of like going on and on about it, you kind of like fall into that too. And I feel like I kind of got away from that. But when I was like in high school, I feel like I didn't really make much of an impression until later. I used to start to play on the morning announcements. I think it was in the 11th grade. I started to play clips, like weird little music and videos that I made, kind of like just like the early days of the YouTube stuff that I made. I remember I played them on the morning announcements for like the kids to watch and stuff, and that kind of was interesting because it was like they were really, really weird. And like, I mean, the kids were like, what was that about? And then like the last 3 weeks of high school, I went on the morning announcements, which was, I think it was an experience that I needed, because I got out there and I, went on the TV, the whole school was watching it, and it kind of showed me that I can get out there and do stuff, because I used to be extremely shy at the point where when I look at what I'm doing now and like doing some of this acting in front of like crews and all these people, like I could never have done that now if I proved to myself and went through that experience and showed myself that I could do that, because I was such a shy person. Every so often, like, I can be a little shy, like at certain events and stuff. I don't love huge crowds and real busy places where you can't really talk to people. If you want to talk to like one or two specific people where it's kind of busy and like you can't hear anything and it's crazy and all that. But I feel like that kind of stuff kind of prepared me that I can do that stuff, because I feel like if I didn't go through some of those experiences and I didn't start like, doing that, because that is what I led to me posting up videos online, because I got that summer when I got out of high school, I started doing videos for online, and back then there was no YouTube, so it was kind of like weird posting stuff. I had to find like websites like Angel Fire and all those kind of random ones, and you couldn't hot link, you know what I mean? Like you couldn't link directly to things, so people used to have to write copy and paste the link. And there was a thing called like Zippy Videos, which was like the pre-YouTube, which I don't think exists anymore, which was like the first thing I found where you could upload videos, and I think the limit was like 10 megabytes. So I would compress like 10-minute videos like this big in like the crappiest quality, because like that was all there was in. There was not good quality videos like that then. So it's kind of interesting. But I feel like if I didn't do those morning announcements, that wouldn't have encouraged me to go and do the post videos online, which led into the YouTube, and the YouTube which led into the acting. And so I just feel like it all, was a good thing. You know what I mean? I know it's a long question. Let's see, what's the next one? Have you ever seen Thanksgiving movies 1 and 3? I got the third one. I've seen the third one online. It's a fun movie. I got the third one from the director at a convention. I need to watch that one, though. Have you ever had a part-time job, and can you please do a video on your favorite action movies? Yeah, I need to do an action video. I don't know if I've done one, or I don't think I have. The thing with me, though, is I don't know how many action movies I watched. Like, I know I watched, like, Die Hard, which I really liked. The first one, the second one. I think I liked the third one. The last one, the last two. The fourth one was okay. I thought I like Kevin Smith stuff. The last one, though, I don't know about that. Part-time job, though, yeah, I did work at well, here's everywhere I worked. I worked at a Target for, like, 2 weeks, and I did that, like, right after high school. I think, like, that year of high school. And that was before I had a car, and it was kind of my brother was still in school, so it was a very difficult time with getting there and, trying to figure out how to get there, and because, the times would never be set, so some days it would be early, other days it would be like, how am I going to get here? I might have to take a bus, and I couldn't deal with it at the time, so, like, that didn't last. And then when I finally got a license, I worked at oh no, before that, I worked at a Spirit Halloween store for like a month before I ended up getting fired because of somebody else. I found out later about the details of that. And then I worked at then when I finally got the license, then I worked at Regal Cinema for like 2 years, and that was one of those kind of experiences where I was like, you needed to get that kind of experience, but I didn't love it. Like I don't know. I maybe it's like I don't like authority or something, but like I did a good job there. It was just never a favorite thing. Like I really like to just make videos and do the stuff that I really enjoy. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's kind of like a weird thing. Um, Love your video, Sean. How do you find time to fit in watching all the movies? All the movies you fit in watching all the movies you do. What time do you tend to wake up, go to bed? Yeah, I have like a really weird, screwed up sleeping schedule. Like right now it's 1:53 in the morning, and I have 2 movies to watch. I have to watch for the next update, which I'm filming tomorrow. So like I tend to sometimes like stay up until like it depends. Like there's some days when I have a lot of shows I watch with my brother. Like Storage Wars, though, I don't know if anybody agrees. Like since Europe left and they've been doing all these weird changes and bringing in these weird twins, and I feel like that show is starting to jump the shark. And I hate when that happens with the show, but I'm really not digging it anymore. I don't know. I'm starting to be like, I don't know about this anymore. But like a lot of times I watch like kind of shows with my brother a couple days a week. And I like Shark Tank. I know a lot of them are fake and stuff, but they're just kind of like chill out kind of shows. But then I have like maybe 2 or 3 days a week when I watch a lot of stuff. So those are the nights I stay up super late and I watch sometimes like 4 movies in a row. I love movies when they're an hour and a half because then I can watch a whole bunch in a night. I like sometimes movies are like so long and it's like, oh god, especially when you have a bunch of stuff to watch. So like I can be, start watching stuff at midnight and then be up until like 8 watching them, and then sleep till like half the day. It's a weird schedule when you watch a lot of stuff. Um, have you seen the British sitcom The In-Betweeners? I love that. I also liked. I mean, the movie wasn't as good, but I liked it a lot. What do you miss about living in your old area? Do you think you'll ever talk the unspeakable one again? No, because when I tried to talk to him in December, because that was I hadn't talked to him for about a year at that point, or just about a year. I text him and say, yeah, we should try and talk again or whatever. I got the text back, it's best if we never speak again ever. I'm changing my number, and now, as far as I can tell, I think his Facebook's down. So I think he doesn't want anything to do at all with his past life, with Facebook. But I think it's not even just me. I think he just doesn't want anything to do with anything from then, from what I can tell. So I really don't think I'll speak to him again. It may be like one of those movies when I talk to him in like 10 years, and like it'll be one of those weird experiences. You know what I mean? Or like I don't know. I just feel like it could be like that, and then I don't even feel like I want to talk to him. You know what I mean? Again, um, that I miss about living in Maryland, I guess like places. Really, the only thing I would say I missed like places wise was there's a couple movie stores that I would go to in the videos that I'm doing now, the shopping ones. Like I would go to a movie stop because they put that in like right before I moved, like months before, and they have yet to put them out in the West Coast, and I don't think they will. Which is like almost like if I had a lot of money, I feel like I would open one up, movie stop, and then it would fail and I'd be broke, because I don't know if it would work. But I liked that store. I liked Movie Stop. I thought it was a kind of a cool place for like a lot of older stuff. There's a place called Soundgarden, which I really liked, which was a pretty good like indie movie music store, and they always kind of had good prices on stuff and like different horror movies and stuff like that. So some of those kind of places, um, that's kind of the main stuff. You know what I mean? Because I found a lot of things out here that I like, and I liked too. Like Disney World is so close when we want to go there, and all that kind of stuff. Legoland is real close, but I've never been to it, which is one of those kind of places where it's like I don't know if you're an adult, there's anything to do there. Who was your first crush from a movie? Probably like I don't know, maybe like Christina Ricci or something. Like I don't know like who the very first was. Yeah, I don't know who the first. Have you seen the movie Watch with Ben Stiller? In my opinion, it was really funny. I thought it was a pretty funny movie. It wasn't my favorite of all the Ben Stiller movies, though. Um, what has been your favorite from the acting? I think that I've had the most. I don't know. I wouldn't say there's one. I think like some of the best experiences have been like, to me, I had a lot of fun on Girls Gone Dead, and both the sci-fi ones with Active Entertainment, the Ghost Shark and Haunted High, like those were really fun experiences. And Ghost Shark, I ended up going out, kind of like conquering a fear too, which I had not in since I was like 7. I hadn't gone out into, well, really it was Lake Ponticello or however you say it, so it wasn't really exactly an ocean, but it seemed like one to me, and it went deep and went like 6 or 7 feet. So to me, it felt like an ocean. And I know there was bull sharks somewhere in there or something, or they said it was, but I didn't want to look into it too much. But I know there could possibly have been something that like got in from the channels or something. So I kind of was something that I had not really ever thought I would ever do again, because I was always so afraid after I saw Jaws as a kid. So that was kind of, a conquering experience, to actually go in there and do that and actually swim in there too. And at one point, like, they had to turn the boat around, and I stayed out there like in the middle by myself for like 10 minutes while they brought the boat around, and that was another conquering thing. Like to be there in that spot, it was really creepy. Um, who is better, Freddy or Jason? Probably I would say Freddy. I mean, those are the more fun movies. Like the best um, Freddy ones, I think, are the first two. And then some of the sequels, though, the other ones were really fun. Had fun deaths and stuff. The Dream one, Dream Group was a good one as well. The Jason one, I really like the Takes Manhattan one. I like the stuff on the boat. It's not a perfect movie though, but it was a good one though. Um, top five actor, your top five favorite actors. That one, I always have a hard time because I always feel like I say something different every time. Hey Sean, would you ever want to see the Stephen King's It remake? And do you know any information regarding the remake? I got all my movie info from Wikipedia. Um, I don't know about the It remake. I feel like Tim Curry is like the only person that could play the Pennywise character. I really don't. I just can't see anybody else doing that. He played the part so well that to try and imagine somebody else doing that, I kind of wish if they end up doing this remake, which I don't know the status of it, I kind of just wish they would just have him do it. I feel like there's really nobody else that can do it and play it that way. And I'm sure the person who's gonna, if they have somebody else, I'm sure they will, is gonna take it a different direction. I would think, because there's no way to emulate the way he did it. So I don't know what I think about that. But anyway, though, I've gone 50 minutes, so I don't want to go any longer here. I've gone so long. But anyway, though, thanks again for watching, for subscribing. I'm going to have the new DVD update up, this Saturday morning, so definitely be on the lookout for that. I'll see you guys later. Bye.